really bad person in life, and I know, Michael, being a lawyer, you have met some bad people sometimes or other, and these people, when they now. Just think about it. If you're a really bad person and now you died, you didn't cross over, now you have a secret weapon where people can't, 9 out of 10 people can't see or hear or feel you. So now you're going to use that to your advantage to be even more evil, if you get where I'm going with this. So,
wow.
So if you're bad on life, you're going to be even worse in death because you've got this ability you can really mess with people.
Oh my goodness! Isn't that something? That reminds me of A Christmas Carol and Ebenezer Scrooge and his partner, his dead partner Marley, Jacob Marley. Oh man, that was. I remember seeing that for the first time as a young kid, and boy, that got my attention. Starting to think about, I really love the film anyway, and I love the story, but. That really makes you start thinking about, well, maybe you should start living your life a little differently while you have a chance to do so,
Yeah, believe me, I've seen both sides, and some of it can be ugly, but it's just, you know what, it's just the way it is, and hopefully most people will cross over, and they won't cross over or won't die being a serial killer or something bad like that, because it only gets worse from there.
Oh, man, I'll bet. Well, now, as you were growing up, what was your first experience with this kind of paranormal spirit world? Did you remember something that really caught your attention when you were younger?
Yeah, I used to see all kind of, not all the time, but sometimes I would see spirits, but I didn't know they were spirits. I thought, I was young. I didn't know how to process it. You know what I mean? So to me, they looked just like people. I didn't see them all the time, but I would see them. Now, I remember one time I said to my mom, there was an Indian. I see an Indian over there. Because we used to live where I lived, there was a lot of Indians, and there was a big massacre when I was younger, and she would just say, quit telling stories and stuff. So I didn't really pursue it any further. And all through, and I tried to shelve all that stuff and ignore it, but then, once it got up to, I was around early 20s, late teens, you know what, even in the teens, I remember when I learned to drive, I'd be driving just by myself out in the country road, middle of nowhere at night, and I would see shadow people run across the road routinely seeing shadow people. I've seen more shadow people in my lifetime than I can shake a stick at.
Yeah,
Yeah, all the time. And then, I don't know, when I was about 20, I was living with my cousin and my aunt, and every night we'd come home, was tired, we was working hard manual labor, so he would go downstairs, visit with his girlfriend, who he ended up marrying, but anyway, so I'd just lay down in bed. Every night, my clothes would be moved clear in front of the door, and I would think my cousin was doing it, but his would be moved, and he'd think I was doing it, but it wasn't either one of us. Well, there was this old man that died in this house a long time ago, and I don't think he knew he was dead. He would keep coming to visit me because I had abilities, so I was like a beacon of the night to him. And he would not let me sleep. And I remember he just wouldn't let me sleep. And one night it was about 11 o'clock at night, and we had a hardwood floor in my bed. I laid down, and it sounded like somebody had one of them giant stainless steel pans full of a bunch of stainless steel pans and slammed it on a wooden floor right beside my head, beside my bed on a wooden floor. And my aunt come running in, my cousin come running in, because they heard it too. And, the time they peeled me off the ceiling from being scared from, spooked from that, they thought I'd die or something. I mean, it was loud, and there was nothing moved, nothing out of sight, you couldn't tell nothing even happened. I was like, oh, I had to move out of the place. The old guy just wouldn't let me sleep, but I didn't want to be bothered with my abilities. That was one of the... It built up to that after about 2 weeks of living there. The guy just would not leave me alone, and I had to move out. I didn't want to be bothered with my abilities, but eventually I had to just accept it and learn to hone them and live with them and just go from there.
Yeah, I'll bet. And oh my goodness! And at that point, your cousin and your aunt. Were they shocked, or did they kind of know that you had these abilities, or what?
Well, I didn't really say nothing to them about it. I mean, they knew what was going. The aunt knew. She accepted. She knew there was a ghost in there. And when I told her, I did tell her. I said, I think I seen one. I didn't get into details. I didn't know how she would take it. But I said, yeah, I seen a ghost of an old man. She goes, yeah, there was an old man that died here a long time ago. So that kind of validated what I kind of saw. But,
yeah.
I mean, as far as my parents go, to this day they don't want to hear it. You know, they don't want to. They don't want to hear that stuff. They don't want to hear anything paranormal. You know, they're old school.
Isn't that interesting? So in other words, you're telling me that maybe these skills, paranormal skills, they weren't passed down from your mother, your father. Maybe.
Here's the thing: everybody has these abilities. Just like we all can play basketball, but we all can't be Michael Jordan. So in other words, some of us have them more to the surface than others, and some of us practice them, just like you would practice basketball to get better at it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an analogy I use to try to make sense of that. Now, as far as that goes, my great-grandfather, I'm going to tell you what, they're still talking about him. He had abilities. I mean, I almost think he was a wizard. I mean, he could do stuff that, to this day, I still am fascinated with the stuff he could do. So, yeah, my grandma had abilities too, and I'm sure my parents do too, but they just don't want to be, they're in that generation, born in the 40s, they don't want to be bothered with it, they don't want to hear it. I don't know. And that's just the way they stood about it, and that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, that's fascinating. Now, obviously, then, you're well-versed in the spiritual realm. Have you also gotten into cryptids, Bigfoot, UFOs, or anything like that?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because where I live in Ohio, it's known, it's called the Bigfoot Triangle. I mean, I only live about 25, 30 miles from Salt Fork State Park, and there's more sightings there. Well, probably the most sightings on the east side of the Mississippi River is probably right here close to where I live in Ohio. I mean, they call him the Grass Man. He's very well known around here. And I go out all the time sometimes, and as far as UFOs go, it's weird. I've never seen really, except for one when I was like 5 years old. It was a classic disc. It wasn't a real big disc, but it was kind of low flying. It was going so slow it should have fell out of the sky. And it made no noise at all. It made no noise at all. I went and told my mom. She was like, I don't want to hear same story. I don't want to hear that stuff. But I wanted to come out, but she didn't want to be bothered. So that was my UFO story. I've never seen any, and believe me, I've looked but just never seen any. Bigfoots, I've never seen any, but I've been out and about. I've seen evidence. If it wasn't them that did some things, then there's a lot of dedicated hoaxers out there. Put it like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll bet. Seems to me that Ohio is definitely a hotbed for Bigfoot as well. I mean, I remember on Finding Bigfoot, they would go there repeatedly. That was an interesting area that you actually are in there.
Because the Salt Fork Lake area that goes like 25, 30 miles, and the other place where Matt Moneymaker's seen his first Bigfoot is, I think, was around Minerva area, and that's a little farther north, same about 25 miles north. So it's it is a hotbed.
Wow, interesting. Now let me ask you this: have you had any experiences yourself with missing time at all?
I've thought about that, and I don't think I've ever had any missing time. Because even when I seen that UFO, because I was talking to Gary the other night about it, he mentioned it, and I was like, no, never had any, nothing that I know of, I've never had any missing time.
Okay, so what about scoop marks? Any unusual bruising or marks on your body that you couldn't explain?
No, I mean, pretty much no. I've got one kind of on my shoulder. I don't know what the heck it is. I'm going to go to the doctor and find out. But I mean, I could have got it doing God knows what, because sometimes I lift a lot of things and could have got a splinter from furniture or something. But I don't. But as far as I know, in my lifetime, nothing that I can truly say that I don't know or could be something.
Yeah. And you've never experienced hypnotic regression at all in your lifetime?
No, I never have. I've thought about it a few times. I think it's very intriguing. It really, sparks my interest, but I've never have now.
Yeah, yeah. I actually did my first hypnotic regression about a month ago with one of our UFO I-Team members who was classically trained by Dolores Cannon in the art of regressive hypnotherapy. And it was fascinating to me. Of course, since I'm totally into the paranormal, Bigfoots and UFOs and all sorts of interesting stories, I often wonder whether I would confabulate, under hypnosis. But it was very well done. It wasn't, I knew I was relaxed and in talking at the time, so it wasn't as if I was just, making something up. And it was fascinating to me that things were coming out of my subconscious that I didn't realize were there. And it's kind of like just opening the door a bit, but if you have someone who's versed in it and really well versed in the whole process, then you don't confabulate. And I was fascinated. Something to think about for the future if you ever wanted to, even with all these abilities that you have. It's interesting that you have such strong abilities, and maybe it can even clarify, not when they happen, but how you got them, and what your best use of them are. That's interesting for you to pursue potentially.
Yeah, well, I have formulated a plan. I have invented a way to track and actually catch a real live Bigfoot if there's one there, and can release them alive. I have invented a way. Now, I can't just tell everybody this because, let's face it, it will instantly make you a millionaire or famous, whatever. That's not what I'm in it for. I just truly want to get to the answer of it. Now, the only thing that's stopping me from doing it myself is it costs a lot of money, and it's out of my price range to put this plan forward at this moment.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to use what I invented to do this, and along with, I was really going to really focus with my abilities to try to psychically find out where they're at, or if they're close, and feeling like I can with spirits, you know what I mean? And I was going to put all this together. Yeah. And that's what I'm going to do someday. It's not in the near future, but in the future.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to have to hook you up with Melba Ketchum at one point if you're interested in talking with her and or Ron Moorhead. Those are two big names in the cryptid community, and studying Bigfoot, their habitat, and their vocalizations is what Ron Moorhead does. Studies those with voice stress analysis and scientific, computerized equipment. And then Melba Ketchum, of course, is the one that has been studying the DNA, of these cryptids as well. But it's fascinating that you have that interest as well, since it might dovetail very, very nicely with these spiritual abilities that you've got, because some people are saying that these Bigfoot are multi-dimensional creatures even.
Yeah, I don't know where to go with that one. I mean, I do know that where I live is not too far from Pennsylvania, that in the early 70s there was a big correlation between UFO sightings and Bigfoot sightings. There was a whole lot of stuff going on there with that. And I think that was in eastern to central Pennsylvania. And I only live about 90, 100 miles from Pittsburgh, so it's not that far from my house. Even Kegsburg is not even that far from me, maybe 100 miles or so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the Kegsburg UFO crash, potentially retrieval. That's an interesting case as well. You're right there in a hot spot of paranormal activity, it sounds like.
I'm telling you, even the Mothman, that's only about 60 miles south of me, across the river there in Point Pleasant.
Oh, my goodness. That is the ultimate paranormal story right there, if people haven't heard.
And there's UFO correlation with that, too.
Yes, there was. Exactly. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, listen, we've got, about a minute to go here, James. Let's tell people about your show, and you take over, just kind of introduce yourself, the time frame and everything, where people can catch you coming up on Night Dreams Talk Radio.
Okay, my name's James-Creachbaum Jr., and on December 8th at, I believe,